computer. Hey guys, it's Brendan Borman back for another 270 video. Today is a special interview. We are bringing in live to Zoom. We have Tyler Burrola, aka the President Camacho. How's it going, Tyler?
It's going good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. I am enjoying these live Zooms. Getting to meet some of the people in the lounge. Obviously, we play a lot of the same community tournaments, play against each other or against common people. So it's super fun. I also keep up with some of your posts. I know that ideology-wise, we are on completely different spectrums, and that's totally okay. We'll get into that, I'm sure. But as far as the game 270, obviously, I've seen your name a long time. I know I'll even admit to being, like, back in the day, confused of which Tyler you were, Burrola or Demora. One tournament, really didn't help with that. The one where Sapoon drafted you, and then all of a sudden you weren't even in the tournament.
Yeah,
I don't
that
know.
was awkward.
That was a little awkward, yeah. But hey, at least you were like a first-round pick, right?
Yeah, probably overhyped a little bit, but yeah, that was pretty funny. And that was like back in the. It's crazy how much the lounge has grown just over the course of this year. Because like back then, that was probably like, I don't know, February or March or something like that. And it was probably like the third or fourth tournament that like ever was run by crap.
people.
What was it?
TJ?
By TJ. Yeah, TJ.
Yeah. He actually just sent me a Facebook message because before this, I knew you were putting down your twins. And so I was messaging a couple people and asking them some questions, just trying to keep up with my 270 stuff. And TJ was online, and he just recently moved to Iowa, got a new job, and he hasn't been playing the game. But I asked him if he saw the RHL last night, the championship game with Troy Moore and Tossin Lake, and he hadn't. So I plugged my YouTube video. Watch this, spend the next hour and a half watching this video. So now he's a good guy, but yeah, he really started this community train, and that was back in the spring. And it's nowadays, there's so many things being streamed, so many tournaments. I have to actually say no once in a while just because of time commitments and my wife and that whole jazz. I know you've got kids, so it's kind of the same boat. You've only got so much you can.
Yeah, I mean, you've definitely committed like a good portion more than I have, and I think like a lot of casual players who maybe like will join a tournament or two and play because it's a fun way to pass the time, but you're taking it to like a whole nother level. Like there's no way I could do like what you do as far as advancing the game, but it's cool. Like you definitely brought and people like you, like the content creators around the game, definitely bring a level of interest that I think is really cool, and it makes it fun and more than just like I guess gaming now in general is like it's more fun to do it with like a community of people, and you get to meet new people and and that kind of stuff. And this game just having like a political bend to it, has brought a lot of, like, even like you said, if we're people who are like on different sides of the ideological spectrum can still get together and enjoy something together and be cordial and maybe disagree about politics, but also just have fun playing a game. So I think that's
right.
It's something that's pretty, not very common in our
for sure. And it is getting harder and harder the more people you have. I'm glad, we're up to almost 10,000 people in the lounge.
Yeah,
and
cool.
I think back in the spring, I mean, we were like at 3,000. So it's getting harder. But do you have a favorite tournament that you've joined and that you actually got to participate in?
Yeah, I think probably the 270 Classic tournament that was organized by Renee Lopez, which was at this point now, that seems like forever ago. There's been like so many tournaments since then.
That's probably in July-ish or so.
So that's the only tournament that I also won like a smaller tournament that was like a VP, but Flash tournament that Richard Altfeld organized. But the 270 Classic one was fun. We got a lot of viewership for that, and I had a lot of great matches with Daniel Warren for like the championship belt. So that was fun. And then Renee organized like bigger tournaments around that, but now he's doing something else. He's doing like Survivor or something, which I don't really follow as much, but yeah.
Yeah, so the battle for the belt, that was entertaining. And Daniel Warren, he's a good guy.
He's funny.
I
He's
always
such
I always pick him to be on my team, and he never follows through. I've always got his back. For the first time ever, I didn't pick him in my World Cup predictions, and that hopefully it's like a reverse, like he'll actually win.
yeah,
But
the World Cup is pretty fun so far. I just won my first match against Jason Casey yesterday.
Wow, in the World Cup,
Yeah,
that's
in the group stage. So I
nice.
have to still play Adam Montgomery, and that's the other like big match that that I'm gonna have to find a way to get past. And then there's some other good players in our group too, but those two
Oh
guys
yeah.
were the top two
Well,
seeds.
you're in Group D, I think.
D, yeah.
B, yes, I'm an E. Yeah, I think I picked you to come third, which I mean, you already beat Jason. You're probably already ahead of my of my predictions, which is awesome. But no, that was a killer group. D and B, we had George Fry and Eric York, and then G with Sapoon and Guillermo. I mean, there aren't
Yeah,
any
I think
like
all the groups
easy
have at least
answers.
like two heavy hitters. And then but I mean the whole tournament's just full of like good players, and it's always fun to see like the new people knock off some of the giants. So it's fun.
Right, for sure. Now, I'll get back and shout out to Renee. I was in that Survivor thing. Great deal. I had to bow out, just overcommitted. But the power rankings, I know. Did you get a chance to see that where you fell in that the
Yeah,
December
I think I
power
was
ranking,
like 19 or something like that.
something like that? So
I
so
know it
what's
was
your
top
official
20. I was like tied with Daniel Warren, and
what's like your
most of
official reaction to that? Do you feel like you're overrated, underrated? Like what do you feel like?
I think I'm about where I should be. I think I've definitely played this game long enough to be able to, like any given game, I think I have a chance to win, no matter who I'm
Mhm.
playing. But I definitely would not put myself up there with like Tossin or Troy Moore or
Yeah, so those big
yeah,
dogs, yeah.
yeah. I mean, there are players that I don't know that there's anybody that I've never beaten. Maybe you. I don't know if I've beaten you ever,
I
but
don't think you have, but
like,
I think we've only played 2 or 3 times. I'm not sure, but both
yeah,
one
we
was the
haven't played
RHO
too many times.
and one was a community deal. And I'll be honest, like I have a pretty good recollection of like where people go and tendencies. Like you're one of the people like I was someone had asked me, "Hey, you got any secrets how to beat this Tyler Burrola guy?" I'm like, you know, not really. It's been like 6 months ago, and that's like almost like years in like 270 time.
Yeah.
And I had nothing. So I
Yeah, I mean
do.
that's definitely part of like how I approach the game, especially when you start to like play the same people over and over. You can't just play the same strategies. So a lot of my style, I guess you could call it like improvisational. Like I do just kind of like fly by the seat of my pants in all of these games sometimes. And
I will
sometimes
say that you trademarked the Tyler Barola move. This is the lock off Florida and force a ballot. I've seen that 2 or 3 times, and I've twice was by you in a stream, and once someone else did it, and we gave you credit for it when you weren't playing. But
yeah,
that's the Tyler Burrow move. It's
yeah,
like the
that
pressure,
and quick
pressure,
balloting.
save, 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 save.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's one of the more effective ways to approach in the game, like responding to pressure in Florida, is to just try to get yourself to if you're playing Florida, that means you're playing swing state and probably African American too. And it's one where like if it sort of is similar to like how Tossin played the game yesterday, which is like if you can get yourself to like 4, maybe 5 as a stretch bonuses, and then just close off the high EV states. So like close off Florida and get yourself to a ballot really quickly. It can be a pretty effective strategy. Like I think a lot of people I think probably the most common mistake I see people make, even if they know like the state groups to put together to make the bonuses happen, is you get too into trying to get as many bonuses as you can that you forget about
The
um,
EV count.
the the EV count and how close you are to the end of the game, and then you can get surprised. But
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's something that I would say I learned from playing Tossin, multiple practice games. I mean, back in the spring, we were playing 2-3 times a day. And actually back then, I was beating him like probably 70% of the time. And he really stepped up his game and then it was about 50-50. And now I've played toss I think twice in like 3 months and he beat me both times. They're always competitive, but it's so tough. Like Sapoon and Tossin play each other all the time. Like, you just know what's going to happen. You kind of have to have like a secret up your sleeve all the time. And the first time I saw that Florida one, I was going, wow, that was brilliant. Do you have like a favorite candidate you play with, or how long have you been playing it? Have you been playing since the game opened?
Probably a little bit after the game first came
Launched.
online, probably not too long after. I started playing, I got turned on to it by one of my coworkers. I was actually working in our congressman here where I live. I worked on his campaign, and then I worked in his office.
Cool.
So a lot of my network of people started to just become political and government people, and one of them turned me onto this game. So that was probably like 2017 that I first started playing it. And yeah, didn't really get too involved. Like there really wasn't much of a community around the game when I first started playing it. But it definitely took me a long time to figure out like how to play it well. So there was like a lot of periods where I would just like be like, fuck this game. Like, I don't want to play this anymore. Who wants to play something they suck at? But it just sort of is one of those things that's come in and out of my life as sort of just like a way to pass the time. And now that I'm like a stay-at-home dad for most of this year, it's just kind of like when the kids go to sleep, just pull out the phone and play a little 270, get a couple lobby games in.
It's a good distraction for sure, and it gets you thinking. But you definitely, I have had to set parameters when I like family time, like 5 to 9, and I don't want to learn the hard way. So that's definitely good. Question for you. Did you have any other games you filled when you left 270 that you go to, probably non-political games, but just random games or anything else that you did?
I play a lot of chess. I'm not very good at it, but I like to play online chess a lot, which is, I think, like 270 is like a pretty similar game to chess in that it has like sort of 3 distinct stages of the game, and you have to have a solid opening and a solid end game, and you have to set yourself up and plan and prepare well. But I'm not really probably the reason I spend so much time playing this game is I'm not really much of like a gamer. Like I don't really play. I have a PS4 that I'll play a game here and there, but I spend more time doing sort of other things with my time than gaming.
Yeah, which is I have a PS4. I haven't touched it like almost in a year, so I'm kind of the same way. Random question for you: if you could describe yourself as a chess piece, which chess piece would it be?
As a chess piece, probably the rook, the castle, because it kind of just stays in one place and doesn't go to too many places, and you don't really start to use your rook until the end of the game usually. So I'm kind of like that. I'm sort of a homebody, and I just stay in one place most of the time.
That's a good answer. If I were to describe myself, I'd be a pawn, but I'd be that pawn that just stays alive, and I'm the underdog. I'm trying to make it to the end so I can become a queen. But no, I don't play chess either. I watched some series on Netflix with my wife, like
Queen's Gambit.
Sure. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I was kind of not paying attention like I should have been, but she was really good.
You were playing 270.
Yeah, I was playing 270. But no, it was good, and it kind of made me want to like get into chess. I got on with chess.com and like created an account. And I'm just like, man, this is a lot of work. Like I'm just gonna download an app.
I definitely would never go out of my way to try to like be like ranked competitive at chess, because it's just it's a game that's been around for like thousands of years. Like there's absolutely no way to play it that hundreds of thousands of people haven't already thought of how to play it. Versus like 270, I think, is something where we keep sort of finding new ways to play it. So I think that's part of what makes it fun.
What I like about it is the yes, you can have an idea what you can even predict exactly what your opponent's going to do, but like the moves are made simultaneously. So like you
Yeah.
don't get to react. You have to make a mathematical or a risk kind of, what am I comfortable doing? What gives me the best chance to win? Blocking your opponent. And there's, it's kind of like, like Risk and like the board game, but like chess, but almost even like poker, where it's like, you
Yeah.
know, not every hand can win, but like whenever you're ahead, you want to put as much, you want to try to snowball bonuses into more bonuses. But yeah, no, it's a super fun game. So yeah, sorry to hit you with that random chess question. Um, did you have a favorite candidate? I think I cut you off before you were able to say something. Like a player,
Um,
like a president.
Not really. There's a lot of candidates that are, sort of the more overpowered ones. So the Trump 2020, the Obamas, Andrew Jackson with the Old South bonus, I think is one that works pretty well. But no, I have the subscription, so I kind of just
Go
bounce
with
around
it, yeah.
and play. I've been playing with John Adams a lot
Yeah.
recently, just because
No,
it's even though his bonuses suck, it's and it's just kind of fun to, there's that like kind of role play element to the game, even though it's not really a role playing game, but where you
yeah,
can
I got
kind of
into a Queen Elizabeth kick for a while, and I was just playing with Queen Elizabeth because I thought, this will be fun.
yeah.
But no, and John Adams, I was excited because that kind of caught me off guard when I saw that, and then the new candidate Monday, and segueing into, Dylan Hales is doing the new series where he's trying to historically create all of the elections from start to finish, and I know that there have been other series like that, but I'm kind of partnering with Dylan, putting those videos on the YouTube channel, and I know that you're going to
Yeah,
maybe be involved with that.
yeah, it's super cool. Especially like, and some folks have posted a screenshot. They'll find it in the 270 guidebook thing where it seems like when they first made the game, it was sort of their goal to establish future like maps so that you can do historical elections. But I don't know. It kind of seems like they've gotten away from maybe that original goal, and that's why like I've kind of tried to be like, let's bring it back to this like historical perspective on the game, because I think whoever is behind sort of the creative team of the game, I feel like kind of they get caught up in chasing the news cycle. So now they're going to add the Georgia Senate candidates, and they added like Kanye West or like these people, Candace Owens or Ben Shapiro, or like, and they get caught up in like sort of these chasing the news cycle and doing these like political,
Pundits and
pundits
just
and stuff like that. And I'm like, maybe I really think that they should focus on adding the people who have actually become the president. That's the point of the game. And not only is that sort of the rationale, but also like it would be fun to start to stage these historical elections. But as you go all the way through the 19th century, you have these presidents who are more or less, forgotten and not really considered important. But once you get into the 20th century, it's like the country looks more or less like it does now. Like Alaska and Hawaii come into the Union later on, but for the most part, you have the continental U.S. when you get up in, I think it's like it's in the 1800s that you get the last, anyway. But you won't
yeah.
really be able to do those historical elections unless you add like your Millard Fillmores and your Benjamin Harrisons and your Grover Clevelands and stuff like that.
And that's the campaign I know you're trying to launch, to add all the presidents. I definitely see why 270 is bringing people like Kanye West in. I mean, it's a game. We're fortunate they don't have ads. They're not spamming us. They have to make money, but it irks me. And I've used the Ronald Reagan thing before, but just in general, people who have been presidents, like it doesn't matter if you're one term, two terms, or even if you ran for president, if you're political, if you add someone who's not, and then you make them stronger, and again, I don't know when they got off course, when they just added some random bonuses and like the big turkey, and I like the big turkey, but
It's a
Come
good, the
on.
church is a good candidate. Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah, I'm working on. I'm on week 3 of. I'm making a tiered candidate rankings where I am, using this website, and I'm partnering with a couple different players. I have mine, and we're going to like average them out, and then we're going to talk about it with not Eoin. That's how I would say it, but what's his name? Eion. Owen. That's how you say it. Moran. He's from Owen. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I saw
anyway,
his name and I didn't realize it was pronounced Owen.
yeah, but working on that. But like I have Big Turkey like a tier 3 candidate, and I have like 10 tiers, and that's pretty high up there for
Yeah.
and it's a bird. But yeah, do you have a single, like if you could only add one president that's not in the game right now, who would that
If I had to pick one, uh, I probably, I'm trying to like run through the ones that are already in there. Probably the one that I posted today, Benjamin Harrison. I'm going to say him because he's like the most obscure one that probably very few people have heard of. But Benjamin Harrison was like a hugely important presidency in the 19th century, aside from Abraham Lincoln. And you might argue Ulysses S. Grant too, who's already in the game. But Benjamin Harrison had a presidency that I find fascinating because it really was the first iteration of like the modern federal government. Prior to the Harrison administration, the federal government really didn't do anything to like improve the lives of ordinary citizens. So when we think of like Social Security or like Medicare or programs like that today, that actually is the federal government reaching into the everyday lives of its citizens, that version of the federal government did not exist until Benjamin Harrison oversaw pensions for Civil War veterans. Like we didn't really, and we think of the VA today as well as like obvious, like when you send soldiers to war, you take care of them when they come home. We didn't do that for Revolutionary War veterans. We didn't do that for veterans of the War of 1812. But the Civil War was such a massive, massive war, and still stands as one of the biggest losses of life of Americans. And so the Republican Party at that time did not support Civil War veteran pensions, but Benjamin Harrison bucked his own party and got it done. And that, like I said, I feel like is a really important achievement. And he was, in my mind, one of those presidents that is a good example of one that people forget, but was actually hugely important.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a great, I won't say story, but I can't think of another word. Great analysis. And I don't know if you can see it, but I've got your post pulled up here
Yeah.
inside the lounge. So put him in the game, hashtag
Yeah, and I know they're always going on there like, well, don't put it on the Facebook group. Like, send us a feedback message, which I have sent my feedback message that is, please just add all the presidents. But I feel like it's a fun way to sort of just like have a discussion with people who might be interested
for sure.
in
And people can learn about it. And, like Benjamin Harrison, like I would have, like there's William Henry Harrison,
Yeah, so Benjamin Harrison is William Henry Harrison's grandson.
Okay. So like I did a report on William Henry Harrison. Is that the one who died?
Yeah, he's the one that had like the shortest, he was like only in office for like 60 days or something like that, and he died.
Okay, yeah, I did a report on him when I was in 4th grade. I got a B on it. I was mad. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact he only has 1 like on this post is very sad. So if you're watching this, go back and like this post. Search for.
I'm sure it'll get the obligatory like 10 people who like all the posts that come up in the lounge. But
yeah, that's pretty cool. But no, hopefully, you don't just get just one. Hopefully, they'll work with us and you can add.
Yeah, what I actually pitched to them when I sent the feedback message, and I don't know how much that actually matters, was like, that rather than maybe like adding them all, over the period of the way at the rate they're going, it'll take years for them to add all the presidents. Maybe just sit back and like give a team of people, you know, a month, 2 months, 3 months, and come out with them as like a pack. So like and then maybe people can just spend, you know, $10 or whatever the price may be, and they can just get the slate of all the presidents. That's what I pitched them.
That's a
But
pretty cool idea. I know there's artwork and there's the creativity, and they have to come up with stats. That's the most controversial part. I mean, like when I'm playing with someone, like if Benjamin Harrison was in the game, I'm not playing with him to try to like blow. I mean, I'm obviously trying to win, but like I'm not playing with him because he'd be the most powerful candidate. Like I'm creating a storyline, or I'm
sure.
I'm doing some kind of
Well, then
matchups,
you
or
can do
just
fun stuff like
fine.
the thing Dylan's organizing, and you can. But yeah, I mean, it just seems logical to me that you would want the people that became president to be
Yeah,
in the.
for sure. Yeah,
So,
I think so. I hope it becomes a reality. What kind of bonuses would Benjamin Harrison have? Would he have a? So I mean,
so he'd get the big conservative bonus for sure, because the Republican Party did represent big business interests back then. I'm trying to think. It's always kind of iffy with historical people because the game's bonuses are based on like modern political things. But you could probably give him an agriculture bonus. You give him like a more typical Republican, probably like he would get manufacturing, again, party of big business. There was like a really sort of important tariff, like one of the big debates in 19th century politics was tariffs. So like, not to get too far off into that, but basically like tariffs are like a tax on imported goods. So the thing that most big like manufacturing businesses wanted back then was high tariffs on imported goods, so that people in the country would buy goods that were made in the United States, and that boosts manufacturing sector in the country. So he would get a manufacturing bonus, African American bonus probably for him, because he was a huge supporter of civil rights, even though he didn't necessarily have any major achievements on it.
a negative in the Old South. I'm looking at the election map. He didn't win a single Old South state.
No. So Republican was very much still associated with Abraham Lincoln, even though at this time it kind of transitions away from civil rights and voting rights being like the main issues in the Republican Party, to more it starts to become more the party of big business that we know like today. That really doesn't solidify until William McKinley at the turn of the 20th century, where business interests really start to completely dominate the Republican Party. And then obviously it changes more as you go along with Teddy Roosevelt and stuff like that. But yeah, Benjamin Harrison is kind of this would actually, I think, be an interesting candidate, because he kind of straddles that line between like the more
Abraham
traditional
Lincoln.
Republicans we know today and the more like Abraham Lincoln-esque civil rights minded.
If you look at the map, I mean, obviously it's based off of 2016, the game, but he would win high tech, he would win Latino, he would win town and gown, he would he get manufacturing? He would have hangman without North Carolina and Texas, and let's see, oil and gas it is not really enough because of the states, but
I'm gonna look at
yeah,
the
it's I'll pull it up again here. I've got it screen. Sorry, I'm talking. It's just assuming everyone can see. I'm down here. This.
Okay, yeah. So so this is a pretty typical, like he's a northern Canada, and Cleveland is like more the southern Democrats from that time. But yeah, high tech. It would definitely be the New York, California strategy. But
he
if you
look, he lost the popular vote.
He did, yeah. That was that was one of the reasons why. So he's the one that's sandwiched between the two Grover Cleveland terms, and so that's part of why Grover Cleveland ran again the next time, is because he felt he was cheated out of the presidency.
Yeah. Stop the count. Stop the count.
It was actually like one of the only times where the election had to go to was it this one, or I think this is one where it had to go to the House of Representatives, and it was like incredibly close, and there was a lot of weird, obscure processes that went into place to decide Harrison's election.
Oh, that's very, very interesting. And I have gone through like YouTube videos and watching like the elections, like the history of them. But like I'm one of those people. They're like when I grew up, I used to like love watching the election, like the results. But just as much as I love that, I'd love to turn on the news and watch the Weather Channel. Ooh, a tornado warning. My mom's no, tornadoes are bad. I'm like, I know, but it's exciting. It never happens,
Yeah.
So I fall for things like that. So, but no,
Yeah.
I as I'm getting more involved with the game and meeting people, getting different perspectives. Like I'm a Republican. I grew up a Republican. I'm more of a fiscally conservative. I'm more socially liberal. But just having like conversations with people, like, and I don't, I read your post today about the death penalty, and I've been reading about that. And as I grew up, an eye for an eye, but life is sacred, and just as like for me personally, just like I'm very much pro-life. It's almost like a hypocrite if I'm pro-life and then I'm just like like let's end this guy's life. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
it's a tough. It's a tough.
that's my take on it. I know there are lots of pro choice people, and that's just my choice. I get the perspective. It's just how I grew up, and I am a strong Christian. And
Yeah.
but I
I'm someone who grew up pretty conservative
like
as well.
yeah,
Like I was in high school during the 2008 election. And
Obama.
prior to that, I was a pretty big supporter of George W. Bush, and just agreed with a lot of the principles that he stood on. I think a lot of the disillusionment surrounding the Iraq War after that happened, and I think there was an issue here in California, Proposition 8, that was a ban on gay marriage, essentially. So it sort of was, for me, my political sort of awakening was sort of the disillusionment around there are no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and we went to war for basically a lie. And this hot button issue here where I live, where people were trying to ban gay marriage, sort of swirled into sort of jerking me to the other side. And as far as like the pro-life thing, I would agree. Like I personally like am pro-life, like in my personal life. Like if my wife got pregnant and wanted to end the pregnancy, I would like really try to convince her to not do that. My thing is like, and maybe this is more where you would call someone like a classical liberal, which is I don't necessarily want the government to make that decision for us. Like I think that probably is a little bit of actual government overreach. So that's where I find the sort of where the Republican argument usually doesn't hold water for me is where the party of small government accepts, when it comes to a decision within a family and with our doctors,
Right.
But reasonable
Like,
people can disagree, and I can understand, obviously, like the religious aspect to it. Like I don't have that necessarily so much weighing on me, and that being an important consideration as well. Like I get why people come to the decision they do, but to me, like religion and politics, or not necessarily politics, but religion and government, I think should be
absolutely
separated. And that's
separation in church and state. Absolutely.
yeah, and that was one of the important principles, I think, of the founders.
Yeah, and just like in like just for clarity, I am a heterosexual male. I'm happily married, but like I don't want the government to tell me what I can and can't do behind closed doors. I mean, it's not their business. So even though like I am not gay, I have tons of gay friends. There's tons there, and not just like that topic, but just like in general, like for me, less government. And I took that political compass. I don't know if you've ever done that test or not. And that's not the end all be all. That's just one.
I think there's a lot of sort of tests on the internet like that.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro did it on his show, and then there've been it's been kind of passed around. But the Lounge, probably about a month or so ago, there was a big craze where everyone was doing it, and then I saw a YouTube video where it had all the presidents and where they lined up, and which president do you think I'm most aligned with?
I
I'll
mean,
give
I
you a
don't know
hint. He's got
that
initials, just like me. I'm Brendan Borman, BB. He has initials that are the exact same, first and last.
well. I would say your presidential totem. I want to say Reagan because I know you're a big Reagan fan, but I'm going to say Dwight D. Eisenhower. Not necessarily, I don't think you served in the military, right? But um, Eisenhower to me represents like you're in the exact middle. Like, and Eisenhower represents, I think, an era where
I liked
was,
Eisenhower. I've read about
yeah,
him a lot, and
Eisenhower is one of my favorite presidents because he represented like there's a consensus around we need to make progress in the country. Like, and there's things that the government can do, and there's things that the government can't do. And even though you have disagreements on certain things, there's a consensus around like let's make progress for the country. And I think now everything has become so toxic and polarized that the government really can't, at least the federal government, really doesn't get much of anything done anymore. And I think you strike me as someone who is like really reasonable, really willing to listen to different perspectives. And I think you would
compromise. Yeah.
and not necessarily that the president has total power over that stuff, but I think Eisenhower is a good example of like when the two parties could.
I like Eisenhower more than the president that I matched with. So I matched up with Herbert Hoover on that test. Like to a T. I was one dot to the right and one dot down. So, and again, like that was just one test. You know, it's all good. But, well,
I'm like a liberal, so I'd probably get FDR.
Yeah, and you probably win how many terms? 3 terms?
4.
4 terms? Yeah. No, I love FDR. That was my favorite candidate when I was really, finding out how to be, pretty dominant and beating newbies in the lobby.
Good for that.
No, I want to ask a couple more questions, and then I have to hop off here.
Sure.
I got a text from my wife saying, "Hey, don't forget you're leaving at 4:30 today to pick up the baby." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's in 8 minutes." So
gotta do that.
Gotta do that. Do you have any rivals inside the game? Anybody that you just enjoy playing against? Anything or any? I know you talked about the Richard Altfeld, Daniel Warren, the Battle of the Belt, but like on a 1v1, like if you could just match maybe one person you think you're equal with, or just one person, and then you just beat Jason Casey. It's heck of an accomplishment. But
yeah, I've beaten Jason a few times, and he's beaten me a few times. I like playing against Javier because for some reason, like I seem to always win against Javier. He's only ever beaten me once, and I've had his number for a long time. I'll put Daniel Warren in there just because he's like the ultimate shit talker, and it's really fun to shit talk with him in the lounge. And we have a lot of great matches for that 270 Classic tournament. But no, we'll see. I'm sure I'm in quite a few of the lounge tournaments now. I'd kind of taken a hiatus from a lot of them for a little while, but I'm in the World Cup now. I'm in the one that Chad Harris is doing, and the one
the Tournament of Champions.
Yeah, and then Jeffrey's doing like a college hockey one.
Yep. So I'm in the college basketball one. That was super fun. And I went undefeated in the regular season, except I lost to Nicholas Sloan, which I don't know. I timed out a turn, and like I'm pretty sure I would have won, but that's okay. I was in the shower trying to play. Don't try to multitask.
You have a problem, my friend. You're playing 270 in the shower.
Yeah, and it was. I have no excuse. It was a 5-minute timer, but I was trying. I was trying to like think and do math on a calculator and whatever. But and then Rick Whitmer, he beat me in the SEC championship game. I should make the tournament like as an at-large team. But yeah, no.
Yeah, it looked like fun, so I wanted to get in on the second version he's doing.
Yeah, for sure. So I look forward to seeing you climb the leaderboard. Do you have any last stories or last thoughts before we sign off here?
No, not really. Just thanks for listening to me drone on about boring history. I usually don't have a ton of people to talk to about that, so it's nice to be able
Yeah.
to rant about Benjamin Harrison for a little while.
Yeah, no, I don't mind. I do want to ask you just your thoughts, and I'm passionate about the Ronald Reagan, not so much like it's honestly not so much Ronald Reagan, but like I think that the Republican Party needs a candidate, not so much like Obama, but like I feel like the top candidates in the game are Democrats, and I think it would maybe help for a couple reasons just to have a guy like that. Now I do think Trump 2020 is a pretty strong candidate,
Yeah,
and
he's
I
one
would
of
say
the
borderline overrated. I mean, the Republicans have, in my opinion, have an advantage electorally with the old South and just the way the game mechanics are. And so, but like a lot of Republicans get these insane national groups. Some of them deserve it, but some of them don't. It's like, why does this person get a 35% evangelical bonus and a 50 or 40% big conservative? Like, then you give this person a 20%. Reagan doesn't have a single state bonus of 20% or greater. He's a very versatile candidate, but the fact that he won 2 terms and that's just all that I just think that, at least give him a 20% manufacturing or something more, stronghold like a Republican.
Yeah,
But no,
it's a little difficult to play Reagan in like the traditional like Florida, Texas, old South swing state route. I find myself if I'm playing Reagan, kind of playing him a little bit more like Trump 2020, where you kind of have to be flexible and willing to go into any of the states.
high tech
But
is very, I'd say.
yeah, high tech being a big one. Like, but you were talking about Trump 2020, and like that candidate is like the best Republican candidate. Like, I just won a game, the game that I won against Jason yesterday. I was playing Trump 2020, and I did a full on just New York based strategy, like 100%. So like all I got. Casey had AA for most of the game. I managed to like flip AA on the last turn of the game going into the ballot, which was the decisive thing, I think. But and then it's kind of a similar strategy to what Tossin ran actually yesterday as well, where he basically just did everything out of New York. The fact that you could do that with Trump 2020 and not necessarily having to do that swing state old South sort of Florida, Texas manufacturing thing, and you can still be competitive and win the game. I think is a testament to that kind of strength. But yeah, you're right. I do think that that the Democratic candidates are a little bit more favored, and Reagan was one of, if not the most important president of like the modern era. So yeah, I do think that Reagan should get
and
some
again, it's
George.
just like, and I don't mind Obama. I don't like being strong, but like Michelle Obama is arguably even better than Barack Obama. And Michelle Obama, like,
But that should stand because Michelle Obama, everybody loves Michelle Obama. You know what I mean? Like maybe not everybody, but a hell of a lot of people like Michelle Obama.
I don't mind her being a strong candidate, but I don't like. So here's my thing: a swing state bonus should be sacred. Like they shouldn't hand it out willy nilly. In my opinion, the fact like that John McCain has a swing state bonus is kind of ridiculous. I get it's a free candidate and whatever, but he didn't win any swing states when he ran. He lost every single swing state. So like I don't know. I get it, but like I think that they look at it kind of with filters. They look at it from like, how can we make this candidate attractive so someone would buy it? They also try to be historically accurate, but then at the same time, they don't use the same parameters for every candidate. If you look at different elections, like the states they would have won, just look at those individual states, or are they looking at policies? What policy did they have? What kind of voter would vote for that person? And again, like I'm not saying like I would do a better job. It's almost an impossible thing.
Yeah, you're never gonna please everybody, just like in real politics.
Yeah, just like in real politics. But no, I gotta get going here. Thank you, Tyler, for joining us, and I'll have this video up on YouTube soon.
Cool.
And you can check out this one and some of the other interviews with some loungers. You have anybody that's interesting? Any friends who I should interview next?
You should interview Bryce Hawkins just because I feel like he would just be incredibly entertaining.
Yeah, no, Bryce. I've talked to Bryce. I voted him off Survivor week 1, and then I turned
Oh,
against
then
him.
you gotta have a
Yeah,
back
yeah.
and forth with him because
No,
he
Bryce
is
is a good.
a hitter.
He's a good guy. We've actually talked about meeting up. We're only an hour and a half apart from each other.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, he's in Missouri also. So.
Maybe you could do your first like actual in-person 270 interview with him.
So yeah, and I actually maybe I don't want to spoil this right now, but I'm working on something that would be pretty cool for Missourians. So we'll see. I'll leave that be for now because I want to make a separate video about that once I get it finalized. So thank you, Tyler. I'll sign off for now, and until next time, guys, I will catch you in the next 270 video.